Our theme for this evening is about finding light in the darkness. So I want to begin by asking you, do you like darkness? My own perception is that I'm not particularly fond of darkness. And I'm not fond of it because I can't see where I'm going. It makes me uncomfortable because I can't tell what's around me in the darkness. When I think of darkness, the images that come to mind, this shows my age, one of the images is that of a prison, the solitary confinement of Cool Hand Luke. That's an old one, for those of you who remember that movie. But I also was thinking about how else is darkness portrayed in our culture. And I think with darkness, there's this sense of ignorance. When we think of being in darkness, we think of people who might have less knowledge, less understanding. In movies, darkness also gets portrayed as evil. The dark are the evil and the light are the good, like in the Star Wars series and the Lord of the Rings series. It's very definite which side they're on. Darkness and light. And yet, there's something special that happens in the darkness. Because it's in the darkness, it's from the darkness that we receive new birth or new life. Sometimes we have to go into the darkness and experience darkness to appreciate the light. Today we celebrate the light that came with Jesus' birth. The light that the Gospel of John talks about as the light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. Those are lines out of the first chapter of John's Gospel that I'll read later. Jesus was born as an infant, but more than that, Jesus came to help us, to help rid all of the negativity from our darkness. Jesus was the presence of light that came into our darkness, where God reached out to us in a most unusual way. God could have come in any one of many ways. But God came as an infant, vulnerable. God came trusting in humanity's goodness and compassion to care for him, to nurture him and help him to grow. God came and chose to walk this journey of life with us, so that God could help us to understand the greater vision, maybe to clear the darkness from our eyes, so that we could see how God's world is supposed to be. It's a different way of being. Jesus taught in a way that challenges us to look at how we live our lives, the choices that we make, and how we treat others. When Jesus said to love God with all of our heart, soul, and mind, and to love others as ourselves. Jesus came and taught us so that we would have a greater understanding of God, of our God, who is a God of many chances. That no matter how many times we may feel like we've failed, God says, no, I still love you. And Jesus came that we may know that. Jesus came to bring us hope. To bring us hope. To be our guiding light in life. So this season, I'm going to be looking at stories of where I see Christ's light in our world, in situations, in people. And today I want to begin with a person that I met this month. And her name is Gada. I was looking around to see if Gada was actually in worship with us, because she may come to worship today. Gada and her two sons came to America from Egypt. They came seeking education for the boys, and she came looking for safety for herself. In Egypt, Gada was a social worker. She has a background in psychology and sociology. Her husband was a doctor, a pharmacist. He ran a pharmacy. But her husband died. And so the situations changed there. And so she has a friend who lives from Egypt, who lives in Lancaster. So she and the boys got their visas, and they are here. They've been in our country for 1 month. And she has come trusting in God to guide them, to help them find employment. Well, the boys are enrolled in school here. Fortunately, the oldest speaks fluent English because he learned English in Egypt. And she was called, she feels, or guided by God to call us for help. Now, I've said before that we get a lot of requests for help. I probably have at least 10 a week. And many of them recently have been asking for help with rent, people who are behind on their rent. But when God had called, she said, we are in need, and we would appreciate anything that you can do for us. And I said at the time, all I can give you is a bag of food. And she said, that would be most wonderful. Now, as it turns out, in the course of that particular day, I ended up having my husband deliver the food. And so David, when he got there, she's Egyptian. If you have never met anyone from the Middle East, you need to understand hospitality. That is a primary importance. So she invited him in, and he got to see where they live. And he came home and he said, they really don't have much, Kath. But she was very gracious, and she called me the next day to thank me for one bag of food. In my role as the one who hands out food or personal items or writes checks for rent and utilities, you can become cynical. Because you get some people who call monthly saying, I just need help one more time. And you know that they're just relying on the system. And then I have to remember that one of my mentors had said to me once, Kath, you're going to feed a lot of sharks, but every now and then you'll feed a fish. And I have to keep that in my mind. And so I try to approach each day with, God, who are the fish or the lambs I'm supposed to feed today? And as I was praying that, there were several times when God's name came up to me. It was just kind of sitting there, and I was seeing it, but I didn't do anything about it until this week. We had, because of some very generous donations by members of the congregation, we had a cookie sale whose money or the funds that were raised through the cookie sale went to the Apostles' Assistance Fund. We had a donation by the choir, which was larger than normal, and so I put it in the Apostles' Assistance Fund, and because of the extra money that was in the Assistance Fund, I called Gada. And I said, Gada, I'd like to come see you. And this time, I took her some financial resources to help her. And she didn't know where January's rent was coming from yet. She was just praying. And she gave me a card, which is an icon of Jesus. I have it in my other jacket pocket. I didn't put it in this pocket, but it's an icon of Jesus, and in Arabic, and it has Arabic writing, and she said to me, this says, Jesus is with us now and forever. And as I was leaving her home, on the doorpost, I saw a picture, which I would say was the Virgin Mary. And I pointed to the picture and I said, what do you call this person? And she said, that's Santa Maria. And in Gada, I felt that I found the light of Christ. Hope and faith, love, and peace. And I believe that she found that through your generosity. This congregation wants to make a difference in our world. We want to help people. And we can make a difference, just one family at a time. May we continue to look for these times when Christ may be calling to us, when we may see the light of Christ in someone, and may we reach out to them. May we continue to share our blessings with them. And may we continue to seek Christ's light that will guide us through whatever darkness may be. Amen.